Beauty can be vanity. Chapter 1. True beauty is not cosmetics. A definition of beauty, the virtuous woman, Proverbs 31:10-31. Who is a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubles. The heart of her husband safely trusts in her so that he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. She seeks wool and flax and works willingly with her hands. She is like the merchant's ships, she brings food from afar. She rises while it's dark and gives meat to her household and a portion to her maidens. She looks at a field and buys it, with the fruit of her hands, she plants a vineyard. She girdeth her loins with strength and strengthens her arms. She sees to it that her merchandise is good, her candle stays bright by night. She lays her hands to the spindle and her hands hold the distaff. She stretches out her hand to the poor, yes, she reaches forth her hands to the needy. She's not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet. She makes herself coverings of tapestry, her clothing is silk and purple. Her husband is known in the gates, when he sits among the elders in the land. She makes fine linen and sells it, and delivers girdles unto the merchant. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come. She opens her mouth with wisdom and in her tongue is the law of kindness. She looks well to the ways of her household and doesn't eat in the bread of idleness. Her children arise up and call her blessed, her husband also and he praises her. Many daughters have done virtuously, but you excellest them all. Favor is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman that fears the Lord, she shall be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hands and let her own works praise her in the gates. Beauty in the Bible. The Bible wants women and men to be healthy, wholesome, modest, and spiritual. It never ceases to amaze me how some of these hypocrite so-called pop stars calling themselves Christian parade around in their trendy clothes, trying to act alluring. A true Christian is modest, that's all there is to it. They don't seek out attention from their physical look. Watch any Christian TV show. See how many of the women there color their hair. That's kinda stupid, isn't it? They're denying the hair color God gave them to waste money on some gunk while some kid will die tonight because he doesn't have $1 worth of food. Then people wonder why I have contempt for the hypocrisy of fake Christians. God hates pride and the high look. Proverbs 21:4. The Lord sees not as man sees, for man looks on the outward appearance, the Lord looks on the heart. 1 Samuel 16:7. Do not adorn yourselves outwardly by arranging your hair, or by wearing gold, or by putting on clothing. Rather, let your adornment be the inner man of the heart, which never decays, the ornament of a meek and quiet spirit, which is of much value in the sight of God. Peter 3:3-4. Him that has a high look and a proud heart will not endure. Psalms 101:5. As a jewel of gold in a swine's snout, so is a beautiful woman who is without discretion. Proverbs 11:22. Favor is deceitful, and beauty is vain, but a woman that fears the Lord, she shall be praised. Proverbs 31:30. Unto the pure all things are pure. Titus 1:15. Let it not be that outward adorning of arranging the hair, or of wearing of gold, or of putting on clothing. But let it be that the hidden man of the heart, in that which is not corruptible, the ornament of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is precious in the sight of God. 1 Peter 3:3-4. The curse of beauty. Never lose your head over a woman's beauty, and don't try to win a woman because she is wealthy. Sirach 25:21. Many strikingly beautiful women are cursed because firstly, there aren't enough good men to go around, and secondly, most men are not cool enough to be themselves with a beautiful woman. We see it all the time in movies. The guy sees a beautiful woman, gets all flustered and screws up royally. Most men won't ask a beautiful woman out because they assume she's either high maintenance, perhaps out of their league, already spoken for, or they're just too intimidated. I think the more beautiful the woman and the more she's into fashion, the less of a good human being she is. It's called vanity, arrogance, go girl, I'm all that in a big bag of chips. Us older guys know that all beauty fades. I've seen it in every pretty girl I knew when I was young. Not one of them has got that beauty anymore. There's even evidence to suggest that guys get more impotent with beautiful women than with ordinary-looking ones because they know she can get any guy she wants, making them try harder, getting flustered, and it backfires, leaving them limp. Many men, being the insecure creatures they are, can get jealous of a beautiful woman because she seems to get all kinds of attention and breaks from people, and they could be so insecure that they boil over whenever they see her talking to any man because they fear losing her. A beautiful woman signifies loss of control to a man. Some men can't handle it, so they sabotage the relationship or find someone else who's a little plainer that they can have more control over. If you're beautiful, don't apologize for it, but, at the same time, don't flaunt it. After 30 years old, you will be out of the beauty competition anyway. You will get fatter and a little uglier as some new, young cuties take their turn turning guys' heads. Be your beautiful self and hold out for a beautiful man who can appreciate your beauty. They are out there. Fashion, the crown jewel of excess gone mad. The so-called fashion industry is a great example of material excess gone wacko. In Canada, we get a fashion TV show called Fashion File. If you ever want a lesson in lost souls concerning themselves with something utterly useless, watch it. There must be an equivalent weekly fashion show in the United States. It's so surreal to watch these people who have nothing in common with any human being I've ever known. Fashion adds nothing useful or meaningful to the progress of humanity, a bunch of people prancing around pretending there's something deep, cool and advanced happening there, but of course it's all a bunch of worthless delusions. It goes back to the emperor's new clothes thing, some people living under a collective illusion for a while. What exactly are they trying to project? If you wear certain clothes you will supposedly feel special and everyone will look at you because you will be so dazzling? Anybody who buys into this reveals to me how superficial they are. They're not aware enough to realize you are who you are in your soul, and beyond that clothes are function. And they're not just superficial, it's narcissism gone bad. Narcissism is great if you see yourself as a great scientist who's gonna create something that helps the world, and you do, but when you're prancing around creating absolutely nothing useful except for glorifying yourself as to how beautiful, cute, and sexy you think you are, and our society doesn't bat an eye at the absurdity of it all, I know there's something seriously wrong with the society I live in. All this stuff is going on while we have so many economic, political, and life problems everywhere. There was some girl on the CBC show Fashion File who was this model supposedly turned singer. As I watched them showcase parts of her music videos, I couldn't help but think, what is the purpose of those music videos? To entertain people or to try to show off to yourself and to others how advanced, beautiful, cute and sexy you are? Where is the entertainment value in the artistic sense? Where is the attempt at great art versus cheap pop culture trash? We've seen these choreographed sexy dances in music videos all the way back to Janet Jackson. They're passé by now. Why can't a so-called musician make it on the music as opposed to the image? Who is the target market for all this stuff? Another bunch of preteen girls will grow up thinking that being empty-headed clones hooked on fashion, material excess, and hair color is just the coolest, most glamorous way to be. I've seen 2 guys in the past month who colored their nails as a girl would do. Get a real life, then you won't have time for this foolishness. I bought a pair of sneakers that cost $20, then a friend of mine bought a pair that cost $120. I put the 2 pairs side by side and tried to see what the difference was except for the brand name. There was no observable difference to me. Instead of wasting perfectly good money on something useless you don't need, why not give it to help a peasant who needs it more than you need your vanity or a cute, comfy feeling of pampering yourself cause the TV commercial says, you're worth it. A straight guy talks about feminine beauty. In the 1950s, only movie starlets and sex workers colored their hair. It was considered something unnatural and ungodly that only promiscuous, loose women did. Later on in the 60s, some savvy advertisers turned it around to make it seem cosmopolitan, cool, popular and glamorous to color your hair by saying blondes have more fun, implying that it makes you look and feel glamorous and putting out the perception that all the cool, liberated women were doing it. Many women fell for it, colored their hair, then waited for their lives to open up to the world of glamour and glitz, whatever that is. They're still doing it en masse. They still seem to think it's cool when the truth is that they must be pretty stupid to deny what hair color God gave them to put some chemical gunk in it because some asshole in some TV commercial said it would make them feel glamorous and they deserve it because they're worth it. It was the same marketing psychology used to get women to smoke cigarettes. They implied that independent, confident women did whatever they wanted and nobody was gonna tell them what to do. These were supposedly things that liberated women did as a subtle sign of protest against the man and traditional values, but the truth is that it was media manipulation all along that gave them these so-called rebellious behaviors in order to sell them cigarettes and hair colors, so they were conforming to somebody else's ideas of rebellion, which were all geared to sell useless products to women who wanted to be cool and liberated. Who's the sucker in this situation? As a man who lives by my pure essence as an individual, it's as plain as day to me that who I am is fixed. It doesn't change. There is no fantasy world somewhere with a red carpet that makes me all of a sudden feel different and special if I color my hair, put on some expensive clothes, jewelry, and makeup, then go there. It's like the Wizard of Oz's big deception. There is nothing behind the curtain. Who I am is a constant controlled only by me, not by any illusions and delusions from the outside world. There are no cool people anywhere, all gathered for an easy breezy cool, fun time as portrayed in TV commercials, music videos, movies, and anything else in pop culture entertainment. Real life is what you alone create by yourself and with your intimates. Real life among people in general is more like the hate, jealousy, and backstabbing you see on reality shows than some fake show about middle-aged women having all kinds of fun sleeping around. That's the lie that keeps middle-aged women buying loads of stuff because they think that somewhere over the rainbow, this illusory easy breezy, cool, superficial, fun life exists, but it doesn't. No matter how you cut it, beauty in women is relegated to the grace of youth. After 35, they're not fresh anymore, so they go on the junk heap of humanity. Men are not instinctively attracted to older women. It's got something to do with that subconscious biological desire to find someone young and healthy who can bear strong babies. Don't buy into all this cultural indoctrination based on the lie that there is such a thing as glamour in real life. This term glamour is a marketing term geared to fool girls into thinking that if they buy loads of hair color, cosmetics, jewelry and fashionable clothing, somehow their state of mind, their way of thinking will be elevated to a higher level where they feel fabulous and special about themselves, as though they were living in a movie or a shampoo hair commercial. But the truth is that it's still them, and their lives will continue to be ordinary until they figure out what inspires them, then release all that natural energy with gusto until they hit the state of true euphoria without having to buy any of the junk at the mall. The lie called fashion implies that different clothing has different effects on how you feel, how you look and how others see you, but the truth is that you are who you are regardless of what you wear. Clothing, cosmetics, jewelry, and hair color have nothing to do with your willpower, inspiration, work ethic, sense of happiness, your ability to be a good lover, your essence as a human being, your soul. People who concern themselves with these things to the point of vanity and extreme excess have a big hole in their souls. They don't know their true identities, the way they were naturally born to be, so they get sucked into this huge marketing machine telling them that buying frivolous junk will make them feel good and look cool and fashionable. Dressing sexy or slutty has a definite purpose to attract men and arouse them, but wearing clothes to try to make a fashion statement, as they call it, is laughable to down-to-earth people. It's a big joke to me, kinda like the emperor's new clothes, a big scam with all the idiots falling for it. The more fashionable you try to dress, the more other people know you're a narcissistic, self-centered, cold bitch or bastard. How many ways can you possibly design a dress? The so-called fashion designers say it's hard work. All fashion lasts 6 months, then it's replaced by the next new fashion line until it's recycled all over again in several years. How frivolous and useless can life be for people who buy into this stuff while there is so much real pain, suffering and need in the world? People think that other people are thinking about them, focused on their look, analyzing it, but most men could care less about what anyone else is wearing, and most women are too busy thinking about themselves and their own look to spend any time thinking about you and your look except for the phony compliments. Who really cares about what you look like? Why do women silently compete with each other for who's the prettiest, trendiest, and coolest in the room? Coolness as defined by the way the pop culture chicks act on TV. I think that frivolous women's magazines put ideas into girls' heads that they're special, elitist princesses better than everybody else. That's the way celebrities act, they're cool and special, so aspiring cool, popular girls everywhere try to imitate this I'm all that princess vibe. What about beauty pageants? Is that wholesome, healthy stuff or a great vehicle for the beauty industry to advertise their products while warping women's minds? In real life, it's all about function, what you do, how good of a friend you are, not looks, unless you plan to have sex with someone. Look counts for sex, but if someone looks good and they got a nasty, bitchy personality, there ain't gonna be no love there. I don't care what anybody looks like unless I plan to sleep with them. I judge them by their character. The companies in the clothing, makeup, and jewelry business constantly put out this lie that you can enter some fascinating, special state of mind and also enter an elitist red carpet type world simply by getting me a makeover and buying a bunch of stuff to put on your body, but it's a massive con job. Some TV commercial says lose weight so you can look cute in that tight little black dress. I take care of myself for my own self-respect, not because I want to look cute so strangers and casual acquaintances that mean nothing to me might give me a compliment now and then. The capitalist forces have a great way to suck women out of their money. Constantly market beauty enhancements to them that will supposedly take years off their look. Aging is natural. The only way you can fight it is with healthy living, not with cosmetic surgery, hair color, trendy clothes, etc. You are who you are in your soul. Nothing can change that except for a traumatic brain injury, chemicals, or drugs that alter your brain chemistry, or self-betrayal which takes you so far away from your true nature that you feel miserable all the time, as in all the depressed people everywhere. They wonder why they're so empty. It's because they live by the artificial values of the world rather than by their true natures. If you're really beautiful on the outside, it shows no matter what you wear or don't wear. You can try to fake inner beauty, but I have this feeling that most of us have an inborn intuition that tells us when we're dealing with a wolf in sheep's clothing, aka reptile, aka bitch. All the high fashions, jewelry and cosmetics in the world cannot make a reptile lovable or beautiful. If you have an ugly soul, it shows in your mannerisms, your inflections of speech, sarcastic, uppity, demeaning, and the resting expression of your face. In the book of Proverbs in the Bible, they say a beautiful heart makes a beautiful face. I can usually tell who's really happy and who's not. It's not that hard to know what state of mind most people live in most of the time. Just take a good look at their face, then look at their body. You intuitively know when someone is not in harmony with their true nature. Clothes, hair color, etc. are all evidence of how empty or fulfilled a person is on the inside. Being too trendy or too fashionable gives you away as either a self-centered, self-absorbed, uppity, frivolous person or somebody stupid enough to have allowed themselves to get massively brainwashed by the capitalist sales machine that tries to make you think that material things are the path to happiness, but the only thing that can really make you feel good is earning your self-respect by releasing your natural energy every day. Material things cannot give you self-respect or a sustained feeling of well-being. Try it. Go buy all the junk in the world, then see how your state of mind doesn't change a bit after the initial novelty wears off in 10 minutes. It's still the same old you with some meaningless glittery trash. There's a big obvious contradiction in the hair coloring TV commercial where the so-called celebrity pitching the stuff turns to the camera at the end, then with a snotty expression says, "You're worth it." The plain truth is that if you really felt you were worth it, you would not entertain such stupid thoughts of coloring your hair, because you would be happy with what God gave you and concern yourself with things that really matter. You would not be coloring your hair because some ass in some ad told you it would make you more glamorous and you would have more fun. We could solve all the hunger and poverty in the world if women stopped coloring their hair and stopped trying to fill the emptiness in their souls by buying frivolous things they don't need, but it's not gonna happen. Watch TV on any given night. It's all about marketing a fake glamorous world that exists only in the media to stupid women who can't see past it. If a demand doesn't exist, create it with flaky advertising. So, why am I so down on the beauty industries that sell cosmetics, jewelry, clothing, purses, shoes, etc.? It's not just because it has destroyed the minds and souls of many girls who could have been good-hearted, productive people, but they got sucked into the fake world of pop culture coolness and now aspire to be like some flaky characters they saw on some TV show. Granted, girls want to look good to attract men, but men aren't stupid. They can usually spot a wholesome, good-hearted girl dressing nicely versus a vain girl gone crazy for fashion and trendiness. A girl's outer look gives her away. I and most other men know when we come across a self-centered girl full of herself, at least partially based on frivolous stuff she read in a women's magazine. The main reason I'm down on an excessive preoccupation with fashion and beauty products is that we could easily solve all the hunger, homelessness, and poverty in the world if we, in the developed nations, took half of the money we spend on fashionable clothing, cosmetic surgery, shoes, makeup, and hair color and donated it to help the poor people, but we don't. This is why material excess in any form is bad. No good-hearted person would blatantly live in material excess in any way at all, including owning more dresses or shoes than they could ever wear, or doing something as useless and meaningless as coloring their hair. True beauty is your love of your life and your expression of the soul or essence your God gave you to do something good and worthy for either your own appreciation of this gift to honor Him who created you or to help others. That's it. You don't buy beauty. You earn it by following your true nature to be the person you were born with the natural inclination to be. All those skanks walking around with their roots showing through think they're the bomb, but to me, all I see are the words "another generic stupid fool living by the brainwash of the world" on their foreheads, and I know why the Western world is fucked. It's just like Rome, too much frivolous excess destroys societies and empires. My take on the lie of feminine beauty: 1. If you don't present yourself to the world the way your God created you as you are, then there's something wrong with you. You're off-center trying to present some image to others by coloring your hair, wearing excessive jewelry, going overboard on the fashions, trends and the look, even so far as to wear tongue rings and nose earrings. Strong, self-assured people don't bother with that kind of stuff. They speak through their actions and don't particularly care what other people think of their so-called image either way, good or bad. I judge everyone by the way they present themselves to the world. If you're trying hard for an image as opposed to just being who you are naturally, then I got you pegged right away as a lost soul, not comfortable in your own skin, not strong enough to be who you are the way your Creator made you to be. You allowed yourself to get brainwashed by the world. I've come across a number of cons in my life: girls acting all sexy, then when you move in to raise them a notch, you see someone scared who backs off when you get too close, which is why I'm so cynical. Appearances don't mean much to me anymore. A girl acting real sexy could be someone insecure trying to put out a facade to cover her frigidity, or as they call it these days, sexual dysfunction, while some mild-mannered librarian types turn out to be the greatest lovers. Like I said, there's a lot of put on or image out there that's not real. If you were really a goddess, you wouldn't be so crass as to wear a tattoo proclaiming it or have it on a license plate as I saw on a car. A true goddess is pure beauty, truth, and love. She is totally fine with herself as is, without the need to buy into all the crap they're trying to sell her in the name of fashion, beauty, vanity, trendy and looking young, etc. She's strong enough to be herself the way she was born and lives to explore whatever is good, beautiful, noble, and inspired within herself without putting on any airs, because she knows she is who she is in her head. That's her base, and she can't be brainwashed by the pop culture, frivolous forces of the world. Who is natural and relaxed enough to be herself without buying into society's indoctrinated cookie-cutter lifestyle. I'm a free being without the need for an external deity, but the Bible and I agree on some points, like 1 Timothy 2:9, who is a virtuous woman. The truth is that we have lost our way as a society. This is the battleground for your life right here as far as I'm concerned. Who is left trying to live a pure, original, free, inspired life for themselves versus the generic mass of mundane humanity brainwashed by the forces of capitalism and pop culture entertainment. Why are we so fat, pale, weak, uninspired, generic, and stupid as a society in general? You don't believe me? Stand around any shopping mall and watch the people going in and out. How many look like they got some true joy in their lives going on? There are very few girls left beautiful enough to try to be who they are the way they were born, trying to find whatever is good, natural, original, and inspired within themselves. My definition of a beautiful girl is somebody who respects herself enough as an individual to explore who she is, discover her true identity and honor it. But what we have now is a society of lost souls who have sold their individuality for the ideals of capitalism and pop culture marketing. Just watch the music videos showcasing our so-called female pop stars. There's something off there. You can tell. It's not art or an attempt to create something beautiful, noble and original. It's just cloned soft porn, everybody imitating everyone else to try to be more sleazier and frivolous, and we're supposed to be the suckers who buy into this stuff if we want to appear as cool, cutting-edge people to others. There's supposed to be a difference between art and porn, but the lines have blurred. There's no true art within pop culture entertainment anymore. It's all the same crap, and lots of people, including very young girls, are brainwashed to think that it's the cool, cutting edge of life, so they imitate it. Where are the natural, wholesome ladies of substance with some depth, beauty, warmth, and charisma about themselves? Where are the girls cool enough to be themselves the way they were born? Or are we just a bunch of cookie-cutter, generic people trying to imitate the latest hot pop star? If you like to shop for meaningless, trendy stuff to try to look cool like the characters you see on TV and in frivolous magazines, I don't want to have anything to do with you in any semblance of a loving, romantic way, because you're not a beautiful person, just another generic, one-dimensional brainwashed girl, and they're way too vain, cold, fake, and self-centered for me, thinkin' they're all that. Go girl, got it going on, feel like a woman, livin' large and in charge, don't impress me much. Snap your fingers real cool like with your other hand on your thrust out hip, then turn around and strike a koi pose looking back like Paris does, all that in a bag o' chips. I don't care who you are, who you think you are, or what so-called position of status you have out in the world. The second I see a hair coloring job on you is the second I got you pegged. I know everything I need to know about you, namely that you're frivolous and brainwashed enough to buy into that fake world out there where they tell you to color your hair 'cause you're worth it, because you think it's the entryway to some phony world called glamour that smart but fraudulent corporate executives have created that doesn't exist in the real world. It's all a marketing fantasy. The truth is that if you were really worth it, you would accept yourself the way your God created you and be concerned about matters of substance, not your hair color, which we all know doesn't mean a damn thing beside what's in your soul. So if you do it, you're just sending out a message to people like me how stupid and brainwashed you are. My take on the lie of feminine beauty too. If I ask you who wrote Beethoven's Fifth and you don't know, that's pretty bad. If I ask you what 9 times 8 is and you don't know, that's grade 5 stuff. How about name the 2 major political parties, or what does IRS stand for? What about FBI? CIA? DC? NYC? OKC? WHO? NATO? I've asked all these questions to adult females at one time or another, and all of them got at least one wrong. What about being self-sufficient and aware of what's going on? I don't want to be with some helpless, dependent flake. I don't care how externally beautiful she is. At the same time, I don't want an efficient, neurotic battle axe. Where does earning your self-respect or doing something to help the world enter into it? We're so busy trying to look cool and cute that we've screwed ourselves out of living full, free lives. The only thing I want in the loving, romantic sense is a girl who's an artist of her life with some love and warmth in her. There are plenty of nice girls around, but they're generic. They've been brainwashed a bit by the pop culture, capitalist world they live in, and have no natural, original, inspired sensibilities about doing something cool and transcendent with their right of the human condition. There's no vibrant, sustained intense love of life there beyond raising a few kids and watching soap operas. A few girls are artists of their lives in the extreme sense where it's all about them with no love or warmth for anyone else. It's all about satisfying themselves through what they do. Who wants to be with someone like that even if you understand each other? These would be like some of the so-called divas in the pop culture realm. This is why many pop singers and movie starlets are single. No self-respecting guy is gonna be with someone like that. A wimp would, but not a real man. That's why you see some of them with wimpy, little guys that they own. Why can't they find true love with a real, upstanding man as opposed to using a guy as a disposable pet? The feminists used to say Madonna was too much woman for most men. If this is true, why didn't she get some strong alpha male who matched her alleged high archetype of womanhood? She got a little lightweight instead because she was desperate, because no self-respecting man would go near her because she was so self-centered and vain, not because she was allegedly so much of a woman. There are a lot of girls who have no inner warmth or love inside of them, despite the fact that virtually everybody sees themselves as warm and loving people. There's nothing bohemian or original about these girls either. They could be the young, current trendsetters or older career girls who have made it out in the capitalist world, but to a guy like me it's like, so what? It don't impress me much. If I can't sense an intuitive aura of inner warmth and genuine niceness, nor a nice quality of an individual trying to follow what's in their souls to be the person they were naturally born to be as opposed to being brainwashed, fashionable trendsetters, it ain't gonna happen. I don't care how trendy you look, how successful you are out there, or the long way you've come, baby, you're just a bunch of generic, lost, brainwashed, cold, empty souls thinking you got it going on 'cause you're imitating what you saw in some TV commercial about a cool, modern, liberated, happening babe. Guys aren't that stupid. A lot of us see through the bull. Where's the real person versus the brainwashed one? True beauty is a quality you either have about yourself or you don't. No amount of trendy clothes, hair coloring, cosmetics or jewelry can give it to you, but a lot of girls are brainwashed by the mass media corporate machine to think that this is what cool girls do, fill themselves up with all this artificial marketing crap to make themselves look fashionable, modern, and trendy, therefore desired by men. Men are attracted to pretty girls in a sexy way, just like they're attracted to pictures of pretty naked women in porn mags, but in order to take it one qualitative step higher, to be attracted to a girl for who she is, something about her has to touch the guy in his soul. She has to have a kind of natural inner warmth and beauty with some humility to her, because humility means you're a good person, not overly concerned with your look/image, but concerned with things that really matter in life, such as trying to better yourself to earn a better living, doing inspired things out of your love of life, and helping out the less fortunate sometimes. But the marketing forces of our society have brainwashed a lot of women to aspire to be vain and cute in a phony, orchestrated way. It sucks for guys looking for girls without the pretentious masks on, always trying to keep up with some fantasy image borrowed from a frivolous women's mag or some silly hair coloring commercial telling you to color your hair 'cause you're worth it, when the truth is that if you were really worth it, you'd be much too strong and comfortable with your identity to do something that useless and blatantly fake, since all enlightened people know that no amount hair coloring gunk can do anything for the person you are in your soul. It does the exact opposite. It shows people like me that you're so generic and uninspired that you let yourself get taken away by all that low-level marketing crap out there. I don't want to have anything to do with someone like that in the romantic sense. It's not the real world, and I have contempt for small-minded, brainwashed people who think it is and are so weak that they take on images that aren't the real them, thinking they're cool when they're really lost souls. There's your chasm of differences between the sexes right there. Guys in general live in the real world. They want somebody real. It doesn't mean you sacrifice your femininity. Just get off this trivial, little lifestyle you read about in frivolous women's mags and get over this obsession with home decor and celebrity gossip. It's all meaningless junk meant to help lost souls spend their money to try to give them some temporary sense of worth or titillation. Watch the TV commercials on any women's network on any given night and you'll see there's something seriously wrong with the way they market products to women as to what constitutes the feminine ideal. It's really sad that we live in a society of women largely brainwashed by the corporate definition of beauty, which is to keep buying new clothes, makeup, jewelry, shampoo and hair color, constantly obsess over your weight, thereby spending more money on scam diet books, scam diet food and useless exercise equipment at the expense of following whatever may be inside of you as an individual that's natural, original, and inspired. And let's not forget the fake wrinkle, skin rejuvenating creams. The reason I say useless exercise equipment is because the best exercises are free: walking, running, swimming, biking, and for muscle exercise, nothing is better than the old-fashioned barbell. All those exercise machines you've seen on infomercials in the past 20 years are a big crock of marketing deception. I'm still a sexual being. I can play along with any girl for the possibility of casual sex, but I don't come across too many kindred spirits or soulmates, girls with the inner beauty to live their own lives without being brainwashed by all that pop culture marketing crap out there. It's taken us over and destroyed many of the weak people among us who live what comes down to little spoon-fed trivial lives without tasting the beauty and transcendence of an intense, inspired exertion of their natural life force, which is all that matters to people like me. That's why I laugh contemptuously at frivolous, pop culture girls who think they got it going on because they got a boob job, some hair color and trendy looking new boots. None of that stuff comes close to the girl who has a beautiful soul, trying to live her life naturally by what she feels within with some intensity, passion, conviction, and gusto. Who are you purely in the privacy of your mind, away from everything you've ever been indoctrinated by? If you've got any guts, this should be your only truth in life. Why men of substance can't stand pop culture girls. On the version of the TV show The Bachelor where they had the Italian-American prince, there was one Italian girl in the midst of all the American girls, so when she's talking to the prince, she says something like, "The American girls are acting like a bunch of phony bubbly airheads." It seems like most American girls are brainwashed by pop culture entertainment, frivolous women's magazines and hair coloring commercials, while in other parts of the world, they're more real and down to earth. They live in these naive fantasy worlds of TV reality and don't start to get real until they pass 35 years old. That's why a lot of American and Canadian guys are turned off by local girls. They all got that same, generic, unreal, naive, limited headspace. Where's the original one strong enough to be herself away from all that crap? The pop culture image of women is geared for one thing: to sell product. By making clothing and jewelry look sexy and getting sexy manufactured pop stars to advertise them, manufacturers rake in the bucks. This is the bottom line. In the process, they create a demand for this stuff and set the standard for what's supposed to be cool and hot right now. What does this do to teenage girls, young women, and even older women? It makes them think that dressing like a stripper or a hoe in a music video is cool and it will make them popular and desired by boys. But a guy like me asks, what is the definition of a lady? Do you know what the term cultural indoctrination means? Are you aware that intelligent people out there, including intelligent, studly, noble guys who see you like this, following trends, know you're a weak, stupid human being for allowing yourself to be manipulated by pop culture corporate forces like that? But the thing is that the average, brainwashed girl is so limited that she doesn't know she's been handily brainwashed. She just follows what she sees on TV and what her brainwashed friends do and never questions what she's doing. Where do you, the individual, start, and where does the world end? Meaning all that stuff you put on to try to project an image about yourself. What is your identity away from your clothes? What do you do with your life that's intense, tough, inspired and worthy, if anything? Are you a brainwashed clone? Would a lady of substance wear stripper clothes just because she saw it in a music video? It shows how powerless you think you are when you rely on clothing for a sense of identity. From the other point of view, the way girls are portrayed in pop culture, as bimbos, makes them look this way to guys. Some guys grow up not seeing a female individual but seeing a sex object. All this is sanctioned by corporate interests trying to make a buck off it. You got girls in video games, music videos, and most entertainment TV shows portrayed as sex objects where they use their sex appeal to get what they want out of guys. This is the standard of a brainwashed pop culture clone, but is it the standard of ladyhood? Guys aren't stupid, or at least the good ones aren't. They know the difference between a brainwashed pop culture clone and someone having a standard of ladyhood. The girl dressed sexy is seen as a sex object. The other one is seen as someone with standards who might make a good wife, but this is too one-dimensional. Guys don't want a girl brainwashed by music videos, but they also don't want a girl brainwashed by her church and the protected life in the suburbs. They want somebody real who knows what's going on in the world with some common sense. If you're truly cool, you don't have to flaunt it. Your identity is inside of you based on what you do, which gives you your self-respect, which is why guys looking for a serious relationship will look for the calm girl who's not following trends as opposed to the over-the-top one who is perceived as a sex object. My point is, don't think that guys are stupid. When you dress sexy, it doesn't make you look cool as the advertisers of this clothing want you to think, it makes you look like a trashy sex object. Guys might approach you because they think you are liberated and stupid enough to be an easy lay, but as far as respect goes for a possible love relationship, guys want a girl with standards who they think will be a good mother, who will be more concerned with raising kids than the latest fashions. Too much makeup. I can tell right away when somebody's wearing too much makeup. You can't win by doing this. It makes you look bad either way. If you're naturally pretty, it just makes you look vain and stupid for buying into the brainwash of cosmetics advertising. If you're not so pretty, it's a futile attempt to put crap on your face to try to enhance your look, but it never works because you are what you are. Focus on the person you are on the inside. After about the age of 35, that goes a much longer way than some pretty, young, self-centered girl full of herself. To me, it's kinda like there's natural and wholesome, then there's fake and pretentious. I think some makeup is fine, but when it crosses the line such that my first thought upon seeing someone is too much makeup, it makes me think that the girl must be insecure, brainwashed and/or stupid. I've seen pretty girls wearing lots of makeup and thought to myself, what a waste. It's like painting the statue of David. It cheapens it. Chapter 2. We color our hair while poor children starve. My personal cause: food, not hair color. I come across women all the time and some men who try to act like they're intelligent, extroverted, happy, engaged, altruistic individuals, but as soon as I see those roots showing through on their heads, I know right away that despite all their pretenses, they couldn't be that smart, nice, kind, or enlightened, because they're stupid enough to fall for cheesy marketing by hair coloring companies about how something as superficial as hair dye will make them look more sexy and glamorous, such that as fake blondes they will have more fun. On top of that, I come across girls who claim to be working and volunteering for charitable, altruistic causes, but they couldn't all that nice if they spend X number of dollars on such a meaningless, useless thing like coloring their hair while some kid is starving somewhere and some abused animal is being euthanized because the pet shelter can't afford to keep him. It doesn't make any sense to me. If I'm looking for a soulmate or kindred spirit with a pure heart, it absolutely will never be someone who colors their hair, because that very act tells me she doesn't have enough natural beauty or wisdom to be herself the way she was created by God or nature, whichever you believe. She is stupid enough to fall for flaky, lying pop culture marketing. To me, that's spiritual pollution. I'm not interested in brainwashed people doing stupid stuff to try to appear cool to others as defined by the fake beauty industries of fashion, cosmetics, and hair color, even if they are supposed high-status accomplished people like lawyers, teachers, doctors, journalists, etc. They're living by society's marketing standards, not by their own natural beauty, which means they do not have true beauty. All that stuff doesn't do anything for what's in your heart and soul, yet multi-millions of girls think it does. It has the exact opposite effect. It makes you look brainwashed, pretentious and weak, living by other people's standards other than your own. All the money spent on phony enhancements that they say will enhance your beauty but really doesn't can easily solve much of the poverty in the world. I believe the money spent every day on hair coloring alone is enough to feed every hungry child on the planet for that day. I believe all the money spent on nail polish is probably enough to pay for every child's education on the planet through to high school. So, what's really worth it, the chick who colors her hair or the one who keeps her natural hair color and donates some of their extra money to help feed poor children? I say that the hair coloring companies have managed to transform a useless product that is actually harmful to your health, because the chemicals enter your body through the pores in your skin, from something tacky that only sex workers and frivolous actresses did a few generations ago into something that you now do because they say you're worth it. The truth is, if you really felt you were worth it, you would be above the need to color your hair to try to conform to some deluded idea of glamour these marketing companies try to suck you into. If a number of people go to the mass media and constantly say hair coloring is cheap, stupid, uncool and trailer trash like with all them roots showing through, we can stop brainwashed women and men from thinking hair color is cool, so they'll stop using it and maybe donate their hair color money to feed poor children. Why try to be something you're not and deny your God-given hair color? Why not stop coloring your hair and give the money to a worthy charity? We have to convince the women of the world that coloring your hair does not make you look more sexy, fake blondes do not have more fun, and you were actually very stupid to buy into all that brainwashing crap about being more glamorous that the hair coloring companies constantly pummel at you in advertisements. Simply give the money you would have spent on hair color to feed poor children. I believe it would be enough to feed everybody. Every time you would have colored your hair, you donate the money instead. Feedthechildren.org. fh.org, Food for the Hungry. Foodforthepoor.org, Food for the Poor, Inc. FFP. IFPRI.org, International Food Policy. WFP.org, World Food Program. TrickleUp.org, Help poor people get self-sufficient. Whyhunger.org. AAH-USA.org, Action Against Hunger. AAIonline.org, Africa America Institute, AAI. Oxion.org, Latin America Help. ActionAid.org, A World Without Poverty in which every person can exercise their right to a life of dignity. ADRA.org, Adventist Development and Relief Agency International, ADRA. AkaneIavuko.com, Akane Shelter for Destitute Children and Young People in Madagascar. CARE2.com. Childfund.org. Childhaven.ca. Foodforthepoor.org. Destitutechildren.com. EKPRAYAS.com, Help Children. Foundationforpeace.org, works hand in hand with people in need in developing countries. GoodNewsMissions.org. HelpChildrenOfIndia.org.uk. HelpTheAged.ca. InvisibleChildren.com, the movement to bring awareness of what is happening to the children in Africa. JoiningHeartShands.org, serving educational needs of Kenyan orphans. NewHopeForLiving.com. RefugeeCouncil.org.uk. SamaritansInternational.org. Saviani.net, Water for Africa. TheHappyHome.com, India Orphanage. TheHungerSite.com. WorldOfGood.org, World of Good Development Organization. World of Good Development Organization is a non-profit focused on improving the lives of low-income women in the developing world. Food not hair color, solve world hunger. 1. Think of hair coloring as selling your soul. The more you use, the more fake you look. Before 1967, most women thought only hookers and actresses colored their hair. Then Clairol came out with a commercial that asked, does she or doesn't she, implying you can't tell if she colors her hair if she uses Clairol hair color, but nobody ever told them that skanky roots would be showing through in a week. Nowadays, according to Terry O'Reilly's advertising documentaries at cbc.ca, 60% of all American women color their hair. Are they that stupid and weak that they allowed themselves to get brainwashed by a few hair coloring company advertising executives putting lies into their heads about some fake world called glamour for sale in a bottle of hair color? How can anyone possibly think that by denying what God gave them to color it over with some tacky, cheap, superficial gunk will make them look more fascinating, beautiful, glamorous and advanced? That's why I still laugh at all those stupid women who think they're so cool and fashionable, yet they do something as utterly useless, meaningless, and stupid as color their hair because some jerk-off in some TV commercial tells them they're worth it. If you were really worth it, you would not waste your time on this foolishness. My idea is to start a non-profit organization called Food Not Hair Color for breast cancer or something like that, which will be about trying to make hair color uncool by telling women they don't have to manufacture a fake image about themselves just because they are bombarded by ads and surrounded by generic clones who buy into it. Women should be themselves the way they were born and donate the money they would have spent on it to feed hungry children. This is an idea I'm putting out there for anyone who wants to do it. I won't do it because I already have a full life. I was watching a TV talk show geared for middle-aged women and how they stay young. I was kind of surprised when one of the so-called experts cited 4 things that keep you young: diet, exercise, moisturizer, hair color. It was no joke that she said hair color. Nobody laughed or skipped a beat. It was then that I realized one of the big rifts in the battle of the sexes. Men value somebody real and natural who are thinking about doing worthwhile things with their lives. Frivolity doesn't enter into it for real men of substance. When you color your hair, you're not doing it for you because it changes nothing about the person you are. You're sending the message off that you're doing it for image, because you want to be perceived as cool and glamorous by others. That's a sign of weakness right there. You're not strong enough to be yourself the way your God created you. Secondly, you're actually taking the time to concern yourself with your look. That's vain and frivolous, 2 qualities I would not want in a mate. To me, the most physically beautiful women are the most natural ones. They don't need a bunch of crap on their face and hair to try to enhance themselves. The beauty is there. It goes from their souls to the outside. I can tell when I come upon someone with a beautiful soul. You can't fake these things. You either have true beauty or you don't. If anyone wears a lot of makeup and colors their hair, it cheapens and lessens my attraction to them. We live in a society that's so brainwashed that the women at that talk show didn't win CE when the supposed expert cited hair coloring as one of the keys to vitality, youth, and health. It's such a hypocritical contradiction, putting some gunk in your hair to make you more vital. How much more stupid, brainwashed and frivolous can you get? And then I see some broad on some show acting like some ecology expert/activist and she colors her hair. What a lie! If you truly believed in Mother Nature, you would be yourself naturally and not buy into that phony world of hair color. You give your true self away despite the pretenses you put forth about how serious-minded you are and how much you care about the world. The most beautiful and youthful people are the ones doing substantive things with their lives. They have that beautiful glow about themselves naturally. The second you color your hair is the second you announce to the world how brainwashed, stupid and frivolous you are, and I for one read an entire woman's character based on that one thing alone. It's like cyanide. One drop pollutes the whole barrel. You can't be just a little bit frivolous and brainwashed. You're either natural and original or a brainwashed clone buying into some phony world called glamour, which is one big pretense. I could never be attracted to anyone who colors their hair. It goes against everything I believe in, which is to be natural and real. Don't buy into that phony world of capitalist excess and pop culture entertainment if you want to attract an honorable, genuine man. If you do, men of substance will see you as a frivolous, brainwashed clone, somebody they're not attracted to. Another thing that gets me is you have these women who obviously don't have outer beauty. They could be older, overweight, and generic, uninspired people. You can tell they just don't have that spark for living original, inspired lives, yet why do they color their hair? Do they think it's gonna make them look glamorous or beautiful? You don't fool anyone. All you're doing is announcing to the world that you're trying this cheap, cosmetic attempt to beautify yourself when you're totally off, because beauty starts in the soul. You either got it or you don't. It's written on your face and on your body. Your biography becomes your biology. How you live determines how you look, at least after 30 when the grace of youth is gone. You get the body and face you deserve by 45. You either still got the inspired beauty or you're a chubby, generic person watching talk shows, grasping at straws for a lifeline to get you out of your silly, brainwashed life for a minute. When you don't have it and try to do something useless like color your hair, it makes you look doubly worse. First of all, you don't have the spark of beauty, and secondly, you're doing this silly thing to try to get a piece of it. The end result is that you look pathetic, like a lost soul brainwashed by her pop culture delusions. If you were really worth it, like those so-called celebrities in the TV commercials say with their pouty faces, trying to act all special, you'd be above the need to color your hair for some phony, silly delusion that you think it makes you look sexier and more glamorous. They try to imply that you color your hair because you're worth it, but the truth is that if you were really worth it, you wouldn't need to do something as silly and brainwashed as putting some chemical gunk in your hair to try to manufacture a phony image about yourself. If you want to be a brainwashed clone, go ahead, but you'll never get a true, worthy man of substance interested in you, because to him, hair color is a sign that you're weak enough to be brainwashed by the frivolous forces of society that are based on trying to enhance your look without any true backbone, while not being strong enough to figure out that it's all crap and stand on your own as the true individual you should be. Food, not hair color, solve world hunger too. I come from the real and natural school of life. Present yourself to the world as you are, as your God created you, and I'll respect you for being strong enough to be who you really are. Try to be some fake, frivolous, phony trendy person and I'll laugh contemptuously to myself while I'm thinking, another generic, brainwashed fool. Who's she trying to kid about thinking she's being some cool person because she's doing something as stupid as coloring her hair because some ass in some TV commercial told her she was worth it? When you color your hair, what you're doing is putting a message on your forehead that says, I'm a frivolous, brainwashed part of the herd, buying into all that stupid capitalist, pop culture crap out there. As if coloring your hair is gonna magically do something for you beyond making you look like a polluted pea-brain. Hair coloring is a symptom of a sick society. People who feel good about themselves are self-assured enough to have no need to prove anything to anyone other than to themselves, and are comfortable with the way their gods created them naturally. Everybody who colors their hair, despite what pretenses they put forth about how cool, enlightened, trendy, glamorous, sophisticated, wise, professional and worth it they are, have something missing inside by virtue of doing this. At the very least, they're just stupid clones brainwashed by the corporate pop culture marketing lie that says that coloring your hair will make you feel glamorous, cool, and trendy. On a deeper level, if you color your hair, you are denying the real you for some reason that makes you feel not good enough about the way your God created you, and you think that doing something this superficial will enhance your life somehow, when anybody who knows anything, knows that everything about an individual's sense of well-being comes from their soul, not from a bottle of hair color. What you're really doing is advertising to all the enlightened people in the world how unenlightened, brainwashed, superficial, stupid and frivolous you are by doing something this meaningless and useless in light of what's really going on in the world. Some girls who color their hair lie like hell about it, pretending they're natural blondes, redheads, or whatever color they're using. You don't fool anyone. It's as plain as day. Coloring your hair will not make you look sexy, exciting, glamorous, interesting or beautiful. It's all about the essence within you that intuitive people can sense. The truth is that coloring your hair produces the exact opposite effect you want among enlightened people. They see that you're so weak and brainwashed that you do something this stupid to try to get some lift out of it. I presume you color your hair because you've seen all the ads proclaiming how cool and sexy it is, and see all the other women do it in your neck of the woods, so you think it must be cool and sexy, but it just shows that regardless of anything else you do, you're still just a brainwashed part of the herd being fake, not real, strong, or enlightened enough to just be yourself. That's the way I see it, and I would like nothing better than for women to open their eyes, get real, and put these stupid hair coloring companies out of business. If you want to be taken seriously, how could you possibly color your hair? Every time I see a hair coloring commercial on TV, which is quite a lot because they're always advertising, I think to myself, how can they be doing this when the world is in such a mess and there is so much need everywhere? It kinda smacks of the Gatsbys, these elitist people off in the corner living their self-centered, deluded lives while everybody around them was hungry and jobless. How can any thinking, feeling woman do something as silly as coloring her hair rather than spend the time and the money on helping some poor kid somewhere? This is why I don't respect women that color their hair all that much regardless of what supposed position they have in the world. You're no different than the stupid kids in high school living for image, for what you think other people think of you when enlightened people live by their own codes. They know everybody else's thoughts are inferior to theirs regarding their lives, so they don't care what others think of them and don't delude themselves into thinking that other people are actually thinking about them. Every enlightened person knows that everybody is thinking about themselves, not thinking about other people all that much. Girls wonder why they can't get a guy when they're doing all the right things according to the pop culture mentality, which implies, through TV, magazines and movies, that girls who color their hair, wear the latest fashions, do the latest trends like wear nose earrings, etc., are cool and happening, and they're the ones the guys are attracted to. Some guys might be attracted to them as possible sex in a trailer trash way, but real men see past all the pop culture pretense and look for a real girl who's not obsessed with her look, who's unassuming enough to be herself the way she was born and brought up, and tries to do something substantive with her life rather than just try to imitate the latest pop stars she sees in music videos. When you put stuff in your hair to color it, you're following what some assholes dreamed up in a corporate room for a hair coloring company, then paid some superficial chicks to prance around in some ad acting like they've got nothing better to do with their lives than color their hair because, as they say, they're worth it. This is the big deception of a pop culture media-soaked society. It has warped women's views on what it means to be virtuous, real, solid, ladylike, and attractive to men of substance. Whether the Bible is true or not is irrelevant. The fact is that it has provided us with wisdom on what it means to be a virtuous woman, as discussed elsewhere in this book, but based on what I see, most girls who color their hair are pop culture clones rather than truly virtuous, wise women. To put it more simply, there's no logical or emotional reason to color one's hair unless it's part of your job in a theatrical performance. It doesn't change who you are on the inside, it does nothing to enhance your look on the outside, it just makes you look fake and superficial. Food not hair color, solve world hunger. 3. There's not one good reason in the world I can think of anyone to color their hair except for maybe older women trying to cover some gray, but why bother to deny the natural process of aging? It's like, who cares anyway? I would venture to say that most young girls and even older women have all these warped views about their value as human beings and spend way too much time obsessing with their looks when firstly, looks go beyond the outer shell to encompass what's in the soul. It radiates through one's entire being. Secondly, there are real problems and issues in the world and tangible things to do with one's life rather than try to belong to that fake in-group the pop music DJ on the radio is always talking about, things that supposedly cool people fill up their time with, but to a guy like me, it's all limiting, brainwashing crap. Thirdly, true beauty is intangible. You either got it or you don't. There's nothing you can do either way to change the way others, namely potential suitors, see you. They've already made up their mind shortly after they see you for the first time. Pop culture guys might think the colored hair shows you're funky, but guys looking for a real girl will just see another pop culture clone. If you don't do tangible, naturally inspired activities that expend your energy and make you feel good about yourself, but choose instead to color your hair and try to imitate the latest flake celebrity of the month, then you're giving off the vibe to men of substance who can see past all that crap that you're just another stupid, lost soul, pop culture clone trying to act like you're all that with some phony aura of glamour surrounding you. All you girls are brainwashed into thinking that bleach blonde hair, fake boobs, and fake fingernails are attractive, but most guys see a big phony sign on your forehead when they see that. I intuitively know that a girl like that is self-centered and vain. She thinks she's all that. She'll try to manipulate me to do her bidding, and if she doesn't get her way, she'll throw a temper tantrum like a 2-year-old kid. Beauty with vanity equals emptiness and coldness. I don't need it. All the makeup, high fashions and hair coloring in the world will not make someone beautiful. She looks either healthy as is without makeup on with a look of vitality on her face, or she doesn't. Feminine beauty goes beyond the physical look to encompass something in the soul that can't be defined. If you add hair color to it, it just lessens your dignity or nobility in some way. It's your choice, be yourself or be a clone. Men instinctively see this in every girl they look at. They have a built-in standard. There's nothing you can do to beautify yourself except to live a healthy lifestyle, eat the right foods, exercise, and be happy with your life. I'm a basic guy who likes healthy, unpretentious girls who are being themselves, not caked over with makeup or the latest fashions. I feel that coloring what God gave you is cheap and can't understand why all these girls walk around openly letting their dark roots show through that tacky-looking coloring job. It doesn't look cool, it looks skanky, like you're trying to deny the real you to be some phony glamorous bitch living large out of the pages of one of them stupid so-called glamour magazines. I might make some allowances for a girl under 22 who's just feeling her way through the world, but anyone over 25 should be ready to accept who they are and stop with the silly, superficial experiments. All those middle-aged women I see around with their PhDs and their supposedly high-status jobs give their true selves away when I see that dye job in their hair. Despite all your supposed wisdom and intelligence, you're still a lost soul defining yourself by your need to meet some phony standard of glamour out there. So to people like me, you're not smart, wise, nor noble despite your position as manager of something. You're a fool who doesn't fool people like me. You haven't got past high school mentality. They had a piece on TV about Washington, D.C.'s first female police chief. There she was with that tacky hair coloring job. She didn't fool me for a second. Men look at that and know she's another generic, brainwashed broad. Her title doesn't mean a damn thing to how I perceive her. The simple act of hair coloring gives you away as a superficial, brainwashed clone, even if you're an office manager with that slick, professional, done-up look trying to act all serious and efficient. You give yourself away that underneath you're responsible fitted. You're no different than some dumb 14-year-old girl trying to achieve some phony feeling of glamour the corporations have brainwashed you with, such that if you use their gunk, life will be lived through rose-colored glasses. You'll relish in this aura of a Cinderella dream and feel special because, as they say, you're worth it, sucker. How can you honestly expect men to take you seriously when they know you preen in the mirror and put those chemicals in your hair in some misguided attempt to make yourself more beautiful than you are now? Why do people try to deny graying hair or a wrinkly face? That's who you are, that's what God gave you. Who really cares anyway? Most people think other people are checking them out, thinking about them, but the truth is that most people are thinking about themselves. It's irrelevant to them whether you got that $5,000 facelift or not. Real people have too much dignity to openly be this fake. 30 years ago, it was a dead giveaway that you were trailer trash. Nowadays, everybody seems to have degenerated into trailer trash. It does nothing to the development of your soul. It just makes you look like a fake, especially if you let those roots show through, kind of like 1 inch of dark roots on a bleached head. How trailer trash skanky can you get? Don't you feel insulted when they tell you to color your hair because you're worth it, when the truth is that any enlightened girl would not color her hair precisely for the fact that she respects herself enough to not follow this tacky ritual all the dumb clones do because they were brainwashed into thinking it makes them look glamorous, but all it really does is announce to the world that you're not real enough to be yourself, and you're so brainwashed that you have to dabble in something so superficial to try to enhance yourself somehow. Men want the real deal, not some pop culture clone. And then when I see all these self-proclaimed Christians with their colored hair, I wonder what happened to Timothy's letter in the Bible where he tells you to be humble and not be a superficial lover of yourself. I thought that Christians spent their time helping their fellow man, not obsessing over their superficial looks. A true Christian has no business doing something as frivolous and useless as coloring their hair. You're a hypocrite. According to UNICEF, over 30,000 kids die every day, mostly of diseases relating to malnutrition, and you're that callous that you buy hair color rather than give the money to help some poor kid somewhere. It's very easy to end world hunger. Start a campaign renouncing hair color as a foolish, stupid activity that only brainwashed pop culture clones do in order to give it a reputation as an uncool thing that only frivolous phonies do, and tell the people to donate the money they would have spent on hair color to an end world hunger charity. Live Aid happens only once every 20 years. You could keep this going ad infinitum and help the eco cause out too by stopping people from using these chemicals. Somebody should start a website called foodnothaircolor.com to get some publicity to try to put the hair coloring companies out of business by exposing how tacky and useless it is and asking people to trade their hair color money for food to help poor people. If all the women and men in the civilized world donated the money they would have spent on hair color to charities that help poor people, my guess is that there would be enough to completely eliminate world hunger, but I don't expect this to happen anytime soon because the hair coloring corporations and pop culture entertainment industries have got their hooks into the minds and souls of most women and some men so deeply that they will continue to think it's so cool to do something as silly as coloring your hair while some kid somewhere is starving to death. This is why I think I live in a stupid, sick world. Some people are starving while others have nothing better to do than color their hair, while the hair coloring corporations make money hand over fist for selling something that serves no useful function and could even be dangerous to one's health because you are putting chemicals on the skin which the body has to fight off. I will have sex with a girl who colors her hair because after all I am a generic hedonist, but as far as love goes, if a girl is that flaky to color her hair, she's beneath my standards as a dignified human being with true substance. A solid lady wouldn't need to do that crap because her sense of identity would be within herself. She wouldn't have to do these cheap gimmicks to get a sense of glamour or worth about herself because she would know it's all a lie created by that fake mainstream media world we live in that has brainwashed just about everybody out there. That's the first sign of real class, somebody who doesn't have to color their hair. Paraphenylenediamine, an ingredient in hair dye, can damage the lens of the eye, not to mention that it can contribute to autoimmune diseases. Chapter 3. The Modesty Factor, Natural vs. Sleaze. Self-exploitation, sleaze vs. Wholesome beauty. Which are you? Artificial vs. Natural. Phony vs. Real. Pop culture clone vs. Being your real self. I think the biggest mistake a lot of young girls and even older women make in their quest for a man is that they think that all that stuff in cosmetics commercials, frivolous women's magazines, the so-called fashion industry, the cult of celebrity and manufactured pop stars is cool, happening stuff, and they try to imitate it, but they got it all wrong because it's all fake, pretense, outer glitter, the phony outside covering. It has nothing to do with the substance of the individual on the inside. Real men don't adore girls unless they're worth it, and I'm not talking worth it in the stupid hair coloring commercial cliché which implies that you color your hair because you value yourself as worth it, when the truth is that women or men who are really worth it and know within themselves that they are wise, enlightened, noble people are much too focused on things that really matter in life to do something so outwardly vain and frivolous as color their hair. Nobody who is a truly cool person would ever color their hair because a truly cool person is happy with themselves, the way their God created them. They would never do anything this crass and tacky. Men of substance are not fooled by fakes. Men are basic meat and potatoes. They would rather have you be straight than be cute because cuteness is elitist, manipulative and frivolous. Be real with guys in a substantive way and your true beauty will shine through. Most men, except for the few who might read GQ and a few superficial guys who might want a cosmetic boobed, bleach blonde trophy girl, are natural and real. That's what they want and that's what they believe in as the feminine ideal of a beautiful girl both on the inside and the outside. When you put on all that crap to enhance your look and color your hair, plenty of guys will be attracted to you for the wrong reasons. They will think you're funky and happening and have the loose morals to go with it because you're covering yourself with all that stuff which is synonymous with trying to be a liberated, modern contemporary Jezebel, which implies a casual, go girl, promiscuous attitude towards sex. Guys will want to have sex with you, a transient pseudo-love relationship, but for real love, they want somebody real, beautiful, and natural enough not to need that stuff to be who she is. 2 passages out of the Bible spell it out, the passage about the virtuous wife in the earlier Christian section and the one from Proverbs 15:13, joyful heart makes a beautiful face. If you cake too much makeup on, it just looks fake, like a put-on, but if you're a naturally nice, beautiful person, it shows all over because you have that glow about you that says you respect your life enough to try to do something positive and worthy with it, not just sit around trying to look pretty and trendy. Sure, All guys are dogs and gentlemen at the same time. They will play along with a superficial trendy girl to get her into bed, but when they see the real thing, they will rise to the occasion. There are two things men feel about the girl they want to be with. 1. They'd be proud to be with her in public because of the way she carries herself, not because of her clothes and makeup. 2. They want her to have their children. I was brought up around free people living their own lives, being themselves. The greatest rule in our unspoken code was be real, don't be fake, because we won't buy it and you will just end up looking like a fool when you try to be somebody you're not. Be the way God created you. The cosmetic, clothing, jewelry and entertainment industries have a vested interest in putting forth a phony illusion of glamour, so a lot of stupid girls can think it's cool and trendy and try to imitate it by spending their hard-earned money and time trying to develop this aura about themselves, but it's all a lie. There's no such thing as glamour, or if there is, it's a synonym for being fake and frivolous in an effort to look cool and fashionable, but it's an oxymoron because when you're consciously trying to be like this, you look like an idiot for being that shallow that you devote that much energy to your look when the world is so much more substantial than this. There are kids starving somewhere and you're worried about trying to look cool. There are no special people around living in some special zone of glamour where they're pouting, posing, and sashaying around looking and feeling more special and cooler than the rest of the population. Special feelings come from hard-inspired effort working at being who you really are. This gives you feelings of transcendence, not trying to be trendy in a superficial way. This is how enlightened people think. This is what being real is all about. Real people don't buy into the lie of a glamour world. If you own more than 6 pair of shoes, you're a lost soul. Not that I'm a great catch or anything, my life is irrelevant to this book. I'm trying to tell you the way it really works from a man's point of view, which a lot of girls seem to miss based on how many I see with that tacky superficial exterior. The less makeup you put on your face, the less blatant jewelry you wear, the less expensive fashionable clothes you wear in favor of simple, nice ones, and the closer your hair color is to the color you were born with, the more real and natural you will be, which means the more likely you will meet a worthy guy of character who will appreciate you as you really are. You can be a lady, dress nice, put a bit of makeup on, some subtle earrings, just don't cross that line into the frivolous, trashy, sleazy, teen queen, pop star, bubbly cosmetics commercial vibe. It's so fake that it's disgusting, not beautiful. It's a business where the cosmetics and clothing industries are blatantly insulting you by implying that you're a one-dimensional airhead whose only worth is that superficial outer wrapping. Betty Page, Natural Beauty, Every Man's Dream. Beauty without vanity is every man's dream, but rare in a pop culture society where vain people are put on pedestals as with models, pop stars, TV actors, and movie stars. Then we, the plebeies, are told that these are the advanced, cool, fascinating people on the planet and we must worship them and aspire to be like them. During the 50s, Betty Page was a model who would pose at so-called camera clubs where men would go to allegedly take pictures of women models to learn the art of photography, but it was really all about sexual pictures, which is why so many of her pictures have survived and are now memorialized in several books. She became the pin-up queen of what were the forerunner of modern-day porno magazines, pin-up magazines with partial nudity such as Eiffel, Tab, Dare, Girls and Gags, Sunbathing, Wink, Bold, Voo, Tease and Movie Star News, some of the images of which are still available through companies specializing in early porn. She was in Playboy in January, 1956. There are books out there full of photos glorifying Betty Page, even a CD-ROM with a bunch of her photos and clips from her movie Tease-O-Rama. She had almost a cult following, as evident by a TV show about her Network did on their True Hollywood Story series. Some politicians wanting to get re-elected started hearings against pornography in 1955, which destroyed Betty's and her photographer's career. Irving Klaw. Many men who were boys then and had their first erotic experiences thinking about her are now buying her pin-ups all over again. Of course, their version of porn back then is considered just partial nudity shots today. Karen Essex wrote a biography about Ms. Page. The modern-day comic book The Rocketeer was inspired by Betty Page and has her in it as a major character. Artists have painted pictures of her from photos which are out there somewhere. There have been songs written in homage to her because of her combination naughtiness, niceness, free-spiritedness, wholesomeness, joy and the unself-conscious, free natural look about her which is almost unknown these days, which is why so many men are still attracted to her, because she represents a truly beautiful natural woman with a free, fun, uncomplicated manner about herself. It's the natural purity thing. It's rare to be pure but fun and open to sexuality because it's nature. The problem these days is that every girl claims to be like this, but a vast majority of them are brainwashed clones, living by the pop culture, frivolous women's magazines, corporate beauty product ideology, with very few girls being who they really are away from all that stuff. If you don't believe me, see how many girls want to be models or actresses and how many go to boy band concerts thinking it's the greatest thing since the crucifixion of the enlightened master. If you take a good look at Betty's body, she looks buxom, her legs are big, she has some fat on her and her tits are kinda small, but it doesn't matter, she has a kind of primal vivaciousness and healthy, natural, as opposed to fake bubbly preppy valley girl choreographed, love of life to her that men are attracted to. If you're a woman and wanna be sexy in a natural wholesome way, take a lesson from Betty Page. Don't color your hair and pile on the makeup, just take care of your health and be natural, curious about life and vivacious. Modesty, a lost virtue? How can you love someone else or care for them when you're always concerned with your look? TV show kept. Where is the girl being herself, doing her own thing away from the brainwash of frivolous women's magazines? A modest wife has endless charm, it is a quality too precious to measure. Song of Solomon 26:15. Girls should be quiet and modest. Jane Austen, character Mary Crawford in Mansfield Park, 1814. When men are looking for true love, they're looking for a humble kind of beauty with a feminine softness, not the loud, so-called outgoing adventurous type who's a pop culture clone trying to imitate what she sees on TV, portraying the so-called cool babe, somebody loud, what they call bubbly, with that frivolous, advanced vibe, seemingly so sure of herself, which is all a cover to the real person if, in fact, there is a real person underneath all those layers of cultural brainwash. Just look at the covers of frivolous women's magazines for that pouty, fashionable look, then know that any girl you come across that has that cosmetic, trend-setting look might be good for a season or a fling because she's dumb and naive trying to act cool, which makes for relatively easy pickings, but as a lifetime partner, forget it. As a kid growing up in a moderately conservative town in the 60s, good girls were the ones who dressed nicely but not flamboyantly and stayed virgins until marriage. Any girl who made porno movies was considered the lowliest in society, but in today's world, if you don't dress like the latest teen pop star striking a pose on the cover of any frivolous woman's magazine with that stupid, seductive look on your face, and if you're a virgin, you're considered uncool, not to mention that any girl who made a porno film as recently as 10 years ago was ashamed that she sold her dignity for a bit of money and didn't want anyone to know about it, as opposed to today, where they're lined up by the thousands to make them and openly promote themselves on TV, the internet, and at adult industry conventions. There is a loss of innocence in modern society, with the images portraying a young cool girl and even older ones as vampy sleazy types supposedly with an open mind who wear lots of makeup, diet themselves to extreme thinness and wear the tightest, latest fashions while they get cosmetic surgery to augment their breasts and color their hair with those skanky roots showing through. The business machine of the so-called beauty industries have implanted this mindset into society, brainwashing many women into thinking it's the cool, happening, in vogue image of what they should be, just like many are brainwashed to imitate a Barbie doll. So what we got is a lot of women imitating this fake cool vain image which other girls see, so they think it must be cool, then they imitate it, and pretty soon you got a bunch of empty-headed clones running around with those skanky roots showing through, acting like some frivolous vamp in a TV commercial, and guys start to wonder if there are any real women of substance left out there with minds of their own, not brainwashed by all this external crap. True beauty is in the soul. It's got nothing to do with outer wrapping, except that if you do it, it shows you're trying to change yourself via superficial means, which means you don't have a beautiful soul, because if you did, you'd accept yourself as is, concern yourself with things that matter, and wouldn't bother with these superficial things. Modesty doesn't mean plainness or ugliness. It means focusing on your natural beauty as a human being rather than focusing on all that outer crap out there like makeup, jewelry, fashions, etc. Modesty to me means a girl who has common sense, who is sensible, someone who thinks something like me, which is a typical man. I'm concerned with function, practicality, how to better my life and maybe even help the world. I have a general disdain for frivolous, pop culture things in light of all the problems and need in the world. If I was looking for a wife, I would need a girl with a soul like this, someone who was aware of what was really going on in the world, someone who is trying to better herself every day both for her and for the world in general. I have contempt for people who live in little bubbles of pop culture entertainment and frivolous women's magazines and don't seem to realize all the pain, suffering and need there is out there while they own over 300 pair of shoes, which I've encountered twice in my life, women who actually own more than 300 pair of shoes and maybe 50 or more purses to go along with it. How could I ever love somebody that vain and frivolous? The Muslims take it too far, insisting that women be subservient to men and cover everything up except for their eyes in public, but there should be a middle ground that goes between the sexual revolution of the 60s and the dearth of sexuality right after the AIDS scare, somewhere on the character scale between a nun and a painted-up Jezebel. I can't stand self-centered bitches flaunting themselves thinking they're all that. I wouldn't waste my time, even for the possibility of sex. For casual sex, I'd rather find an unpretentious fun girl who likes to catch a buzz and have a good time rather than one of these high and mighty pop culture trendy types who thinks she deserves to be taken care of forever by some rich guy because she thinks she's way worth it, all that in a bag o' chips. Some people say anorexia, self-mutilation and all those other things are the result of a girl's confusion about her sexuality. She hates herself because she's not sexy enough as defined by the culture. Then on the other hand, she feels guilty and ashamed for cheapening herself trying to act sexy, so she's a mess turning to self-destructive behaviors to deal with it. Society wants you to be a vamp and a lady all at the same time, judging from all the mixed signals we constantly get all across the board from all different sectors. People who make a living from sex, like the ones who write magazines or the ones who make TV shows using an open sexual atmosphere, generally put out the attitude that modest people are sexually repressed, that they really want sex but are holding themselves back, whereas the truth is that it's a free society where anything goes. If you choose to be modest, you don't have to be made to feel guilty and prudish by a liberal media which uses sex as its bread and butter to sell itself. And they got all these phony experts on TV, supposedly liberal sex educators going into the schools treating private subjects as if they were the most casual things in the world. Then we wonder why kids go off doing all kinds of sexual things like having babies too young, date rape, sexual harassment, fondling unwilling volunteers in public, etc. It's because they got these permissive attitudes from certain elements of the mainstream culture. Modesty in women is a virtue. It's not repressing sex in response to unhealthy feelings of guilt or shame, it's having a sense of decency and an implicit inner standard as to what's comfortable and dignified around other people. It's not wearing a dress with the cleavage hanging out to try to attract attention to yourself or saying inappropriate lewd things in public. It's not wearing shorts such that you have to constantly pull down because they're hugging up to the cheeks, as I've seen with girls at the gym. How can you work out when you're self-conscious of that all the time? I saw some guy kick some girls out of his restaurant because they were wearing thongs, which might be sexy, but they belong in a secluded place among mature people, not out in public in a family area. There's such a thing as going too far with abandoning standards of decency. I thought people find it uncomfortable when their clothing gets stuck up the cracks of their butt, but the brainwashing effect of society has thongs as a fashion statement regardless of how uncomfortable. Modesty is being pleasant, non-controversial, not attracting excessive sexual attention to yourself by wearing overly tight, skimpy clothes. It's not about inappropriate seductive looks or sexy talk with people you don't know very well that goes too far. Men, being the sexual creatures they are, will be attracted to sexy vampy girls for their look to appease their sexual desires, but at the end of the day, when all is said and done, they will reject these vain outer-focused glamour girls and look for a true companion who will be there when the glitter wears off, somebody of substance who they can talk to, bring home to show their mother and be with on a real level. They will want the stupid brainwashed girl preoccupied with the outer look and cool image for sex but not for marriage material. As far as I know, every major religion has rules about women being modest, and the school does a pretty good job of teaching women to be nice, humble people, but the media more than makes up for it with the ripple effect of peer pressure taking hold, such that a lot of young girls converge to the image put forth by the entertainment industry, music videos, and frivolous women's magazines, destroying whatever innocence and wholesome values there may be inside of them. And then we got some show on the Women's Network about makeovers, where they go in, color a girl's hair, give her a new hairstyle, put some makeup on her, give her a new dress, and she says she feels so beautiful, like a real woman, when the truth is that she's still the same her, absolutely nothing has changed in her soul. It's a big lie. I'm not pro-prude nor pro-vamp. There's a middle-of-the-road approach. Some people say you should ask yourself if your father or your God would approve before you do something. I say you have an implicit standard of decency within yourself. Sometimes, for curiosity's sake, you cross the line to experiment with life, but you know inherently whether something is right or wrong. Sex in private between two lovers may be fine, but it generally doesn't feel right in a group setting as with an orgy. I'm sure the people making porno movies don't feel right inside while they're going at it in front of the camera. It's just that they sold their souls for the money. Live by the standard you feel inside. You know when you're doing something that's not really right. As a hedonist with a conservative upbringing, I believe in both facets of life, to have my pleasure in a free, discreet way with people I'm comfortable with, but don't flaunt myself acting like trailer trash in public. We're all good and bad, puritanical and slutty at different times in our lives. I'm a hedonist, but to see me out in public, you'd never know. I never betray myself by dressing inappropriately or acting inappropriately. Regardless of what I think in my head or do in private, discreet settings, when I go out in public, I'm always a non-controversial, neutral face, because I feel that I have no right to impose my values on anyone else nor make them feel uncomfortable by my dress or demeanor. People think because I've written a sex book that reads downright slutty in parts that I must look like some degenerate pervert, but I look like I could fit in anywhere. I never bring attention to myself by trying to act extra sexy or cool out in public. Most of us want sexual fun with good-looking frivolous people for a while, but want true love with someone we can relate to, so if you act vampy and all, you will attract men who will like your boobs and your sexy outer vibe, but when you peel it all away, you got an ordinary human being just like everyone else, and if you've got nothing to offer but that outer sexy vibe, not true warmth, substance, and sincerity, forget it. Smart, on-the-level guys generally won't stay with an empty-headed sexy vamp constantly worried about her sexy look. Maybe a dumb superficial guy will, but a real guy looking for somebody real won't. From a cultural point of view, modesty puts an invisible line between men and women as to what's acceptable. If you've got a bunch of girls sashaying around like vamps, men presume they're as horny as they are, and the game is sex with no strings attached. But if a girl acts proper, respectful, and a little bit distant, it puts some space there saying she has virtue, she's not easy, and guys will back off before they think about moving in for what we might call a sexy "hey babe come on," aggressive flirting, sexual harassment, or date rape. Modesty is necessary in order for romance to flourish. If there's no modesty, it's just straight out sex with no pangs of beauty or love there. Men will only respect girls who have this quality. They will be sexually attracted to the pop culture crowd but won't necessarily respect them. Modesty is announcing to the world that you're saving it for a special someone. If you're acting cool in a sexy phony way, you're basically saying with nonverbal cues that you're a liberated badass chick so cool that nothing phases you. You can be just as cavalier about sex as any guy and will often end up doing things to embarrass yourself not inherent to the real you to protect this outer facade of sexy coolness you got from Jenny, Carmen, Brittany, and all those other lost souls parading themselves in the media for the money and the transient fame. Modesty is showing other people you respect them enough to respect yourself by not flaunting yourself all over the place, thus making them feel comfortable to be with you. Modesty is girlishness in a woman, boyishness in a man. The older you get, generally the more you lose it to become jaded, cynical, secular up until about 40. Then I've noticed a lot of the I'm all that chicks from youth start to get a bit more humble about themselves because they know they ain't the cock of the walk anymore. The hardness of the world takes its toll on almost everybody, making us a bunch of phony brainwashed people trying to act cool, beautiful and successful at the expense of everything else. Books about women's sexual ethics are at number 306.7082 or HQ46 at the library. modestynow.evangelizers.com. Modest dress ideas from projectinspired.com/kt-style-guide-for-Christian-girls-modesty. Scripture states, in like manner also, that women adorn themselves in modest apparel, with shamefacedness and sobriety, not with broided hair, or gold, or pearls, or costly array. 1 Timothy 2:9. In a 2004 article The Forgotten Virtue, Modesty in Dress, author Monsignor Charles M. Mangan lays out a guide founded upon principles of modesty set by Pope Pius XII in 1957. To dress modestly is to avoid deliberately causing sexual excitement in oneself or one's neighbor. Avoid clothes that reveal or highlight certain body parts. Bust. Avoid tight or see-through shirts or tops without appropriate undergarments and tops with low plunging necklines that reveal a cleavage. Thighs. When it comes to skirts, select those that are no shorter than above the knee. Back. Refrain from wearing backless shirts or dresses that plunge in the back. Stomach. Shirts and tops should always cover the stomach. Butt. Avoid tight skirts, shorts, dresses and pants that reveal the shape and curve of the buttocks. Clothing fulfills 3 necessary requirements: hygiene, decency, adornment. The more elegant you will be, and the more pleasing, if you dress with simplicity and discreet modesty. Pope Pius XII. If you're purchasing an item because it'll bring attention to you or attract the opposite sex, then it may be inappropriate. Style must never be a proximate occasion of sin. Pope Pius XII. tmgouet.com, facebook.com/tmgouet, twitter.com/tmgouet. Daddy's Girl. A daddy's girl is the type of girl protected all her life with no scope of reality in the real world. Her father loves her, which is normal, but he showers her with so many things and is so overprotective of her that she grows up overdependent on him, sheltered from the real world such that she never got her feet wet, never worked for anything, was spoiled all her life, never broke a real sweat in an attempt to achieve something of substance. Cheerleading practice doesn't count because it adds nothing significantly important to the progress of the world, so as such, she's a limited human being living in a fantasy land and believes in all those fairy tales about some magical, mystical Prince Charming who she's gonna meet at college. She will leave the sorority house and move right into his mansion somewhere in the suburbs, so it will be daddy's house, sorority house, and mansion in the suburbs with no period of living on her own, trying to make her own way in the world to discover who she is away from all that stuff. Of course, this is the fantasy, but it rarely works in the real world because most guys are normal human beings working hard for a living and can't measure up to daddy's girl's high expectations, so she's doomed to never finding a guy that measures up to her father, and when she does eventually find a guy, she thinks she's higher and mightier than him on the status scale, so she uses him and makes excessive demands expecting everything to be fulfilled because she's such a special girl just like her father fulfilled all the special wishes of his special little girl. If you're a daddy's girl, if you wanna get real, you have to get into the real world, get humble, work your way through college, drive a bike for a while instead of the sports car daddy bought you, move out of the sorority house into your own place and get rid of that fashion mindset, then you might get real enough to attract a real guy. You have to get over your dependence on your father and strike out on your own to live your own life. When I was a teacher at college, I came across a lot of these daddy's girls who seemed like nice enough people on the surface, but the impression I got of them was that they were superficial girls with no true tested character who wanted to meet an upstanding successful young man in college who would take care of them so they could continue on in the lifestyle they knew with daddy. They weren't very ambitious for themselves. They just looked good and stylish and thought that their looks would be enough for them to breeze through life, find them a good husband who would take care of them. This is not reality and not the way a real human being lives. even if they have enough money to be on easy street, because the only truly honorable feelings anybody gets within themselves is when they do something really tough and worthy that inspires and challenges them, and if you help others in the process, you get a double dose of self-respect from the process. Be your own person. Get over your dependence on your father, set out to live your own life, find your own mind, earn your own money and be successful on your own without help or dependence on your daddy. If you can do all that without getting jaded to the I am woman feminist philosophy and still maintain an easy way about yourself, you should attract some bona fide, rock solid, upstanding guys.